Welcome to the coffee talk with salty Vixen's flair. Dive into deep thoughts, no topics to air.
Welcome to Salty Vixen's Coffee Talk, a place where I talk about what is on a Salty Vixen's mind. I'm an author, I'm a musician, and a mother, and I am the founder of Salty Vixen brand. And today's episode is talking about how does dating affect our mental health. Dating sucks. And that's a fact. In fact, we all know how horrible dating is. You go on the app, swipe left, swipe right. You may have a date. You may have a texting relationship, which sucks. You may have the ones that tell you, oh yeah, I really like you, make dates and constantly cancel. Why are they canceling? More likely, they're hiding something. I experienced that this summer. I will tell that story maybe in a future podcast. And then you have the hookup culture, which is about 96% of the people online. Then you have the people that say, oh, no, I really want a relationship, not a hookup. And then you go on a date and then they expect sex. It's gross, isn't it? And then you have the people like I had, which I will tell the story at the end of this podcast, the taking you out for socializing, a dinner, maybe a drink, and nothing more afterwards. You know, the one where you're like, oh my God, there's a sexual connection and we have great communication. The body language is there. But you could tell, your gut's telling you, nope, there's not going to be a second date. In my case, a person literally said, no, I had a great time. There's just no spark. I mean, yes, you need a spark, but it takes more than one time to get to know somebody, especially for introverts like myself. And I am an introvert. And introverts, it takes a while for us to open up. And then you have the people that expect when a man takes a woman out, they want the Barbie experience, perfection. The problem is nobody is Barbie. And if Barbie existed, Barbie wouldn't date half these people on the apps. Let's be honest. So dating has been horrible. And I've been single for 7 years. I've been on dates over the years. Have I had a solid relationship? No. And that's because nobody knows what a relationship is. No one can define it. People think that you meet somebody, you're going to get married tomorrow. They don't realize it takes time to build on that relationship. Our parents knew, our grandparents. What happened to that concept? Has it died away because of the internet? Or how about those who are married and pretend to be single? Well, I have a story about that. I shall share that with you all later on. Why I am Salty Vixen. That's right, Salty Vixen means strength and confidence, but came from a man who hurt me deeply. And someday I will share that story. Maybe in a couple of episodes, we'll see. And as a result, many of us are feeling the dating app burnt out. I mean, I read what people are saying on Reddit, on their experiences. And it's great that we can share. It's kind of lonely too, right? I mean, how many of us really want to be single? I don't. I plan on getting married. That's my goal. I don't want to be 99 years old and in a, old folks home and not getting laid or have someone to, kiss. Now you're saying, well, Salty, I mean, you could go do the hookup culture. Well, the thing is, I don't do hookups. I never done them and never will. I was raised a lady and I'm not an option. And that's the other problem with dating apps is when men are going on dates with women, that men are talking to several women at once. And so the reality of it is we're an option and they are not taking time to get to know us. Oh, and the dates that I hate the most on these apps, men saying the infamous D pictures. Like, do I need to see it? No, I'm sorry. And by the way, men, if you're going to send your beautiful sculpture to us women, I'm going to be frank with you. We tell our other female friends because we're giggling. We don't need to see it. When you're asking for a boob picture, 9 times out of 10, we're sending you boob pictures that are found on the internet. Why do we need to show our own body? That's not okay. Unless we're dating, but even so, right? And another thing when it comes to dating, you have to do a background check. And I use truthfinder.com, and Truthfinder is a great source, but you have to cross-reference things as well. Because a person can lie and say, oh yeah, I'm single, when they're not. And that's about 85% of the people on the dating apps. They're faking they are single because they haven't had sex in a long time with their partner. And so somehow getting laid with some mysterious person is going to fix their marriage because they're too chicken to say, hey, partner, we're not doing well. Let's work things out. Let's go see a therapist. It's a very crazy world. And and when I go on dates, one thing I recommend to all of you out there, pick a place, public, obviously always public, and go in there ahead of time. And I always pick a place where I know the owner of the restaurant or the manager. And it's always a small place. And I know the waiter or waitress. And I tell them ahead of time, it's a date. And we have secret words, code words that I use with them if something isn't right, or if they are observant. They're like, hey, is everything okay? Or what I say is like, they'll come up and say, would you like dessert? Even though we're not done with our food. And generally, I pick like bar restaurants where there's not really desserts on the menu. That's how, when they are saying, hey, something isn't right, to kind of wrap up the date as well. It's a safety thing. You have to be safe. Dating is a very scary world, and there's so many red flags. And yes, there are like minor red flags because we're all, have a story. We've been stuck in a rut. And, the reality of it is, in the dating world, nobody's perfect. Remember I said earlier, many men want that Barbie doll, and there are women who want that Ken doll. But guess what? The real Barbie and Ken don't exist. And as I stated earlier, if they did, the Barbie and Ken wouldn't date half these people on the dating apps. So you got that kind of, a problem as well. All right, so people have asked me over the years, me being a well-established author, asking me, do I tell them that I write spicy stories, or, as I may call it, erotica? The answer is no. I don't tell the dates right away. It's none of their business. I tell them I run a small publishing company, and that's it. I don't tell my pen name, and really, again, it's none of their business. So while I've been writing erotica to put food on the table, and that's another conversation to have for another day, I developed a brand over the years from trauma. That's all. And it's my brand. It's my story, my voice. And it's none of their business. It's like, if I was Paris Hilton, which I'm not, but like Paris Hilton, here's a great example. I've seen her videos over the years where she has spoke candidly about how hard it is getting relationships. Now she's married and has beautiful children. But in the past, for especially celebrities, finding that partner that knows like, oh yeah, you're famous, and doesn't, piggyback off of your fame is very hard. Now, I'm not saying, look, I'm a famous person. Yes, I am a public figure according to Google. I have a lot of books out there. My name is known in a small author community, but apart from that, I'm not claiming I'm a celebrity. However, just like anything you do, always be safe when you are meeting somebody. Don't tell them everything, because there are a lot of creepazoids out there. Yes, I said creepazoids, total 90s words, but you know what? I'll own that word for tonight. And writing has helped me cope with loneliness. When you're not getting intimacy for a number of years, and it's been a long time for me, it does get depressing. And to mask depression, you have to keep yourself busy. A guy I was talking to recently was saying that he does photography. He's been single for 3 years. And that's helped him travel and, taking pictures. And he's like, you know what? As a result, while it sucks I'm lonely and don't have that companionship with somebody, it's easier to keep yourself busy with a hobby. And you know what? Hobbies turn into business, just like my writing has. So, I guess what I'm pointing out, what I'm trying to say is like, being alone is incredibly depressing. It is. And you have to keep yourself busy to avoid the depression. And for me, that was bad. And when you go on these dating apps and you find a connection with somebody, we got similarities and we're laughing and, and this dude's not sending a dick pic and he's not asking for a boob pic. You know what? Maybe there's something there. You do a background check, everything checks out so far, you're going to meet with them. And you're hoping that they will be your forever person. And you're hoping that you will marry that person someday, or at least a relationship develops from that. And that happens for the small percentage of people out there. But, for the 98% other people out there like myself, the lonely ones, it's their forever person only lasts one date. And I said earlier, they come up with like, there's no spark, or, I wanted to hook up. Actually, I had 2 men tell me over the years after dinner they wanted to have oral dessert in their car, aka a BJ, which of course I declined because it was gross. And 2, I don't know if you have any STDs. I'm sorry, but like, honestly, men out there, do you want to know why women, for the most part, are not going to do hookups? It's because we don't want to get an STD, like common sense. I mean, you may not think you have it because you're not showing signs, but guess what? You haven't been checked out in a long time, right? You don't go to the doctor to see if you've been checked out because you've had hookups over the years. So a woman may catch something and then you ghost her and she's left with the medical bill. I had a friend that it happened to her. She dated a guy and he had a great job and he was single for a number of years and she gave him head and she ended up getting STD in the mouth. So tell me. And the guy said, oh yeah, it was clean. He never got checked out. So men out there, this is why women, for the most part, don't want to do hookups. Just FYI. So for my listeners out there, I want to know, in 1 month, how many dates have you been on? How many people have you met in the apps? How many of the dates have gone to second or third dates where it's been a full-fledged relationship? I would love to know that, because generally I don't go past first dates. Now I'll tell you this story that happened to me about 3 weeks ago. And I want to point out, every story I tell about a person, I do give them nicknames. This one is the doctor. He actually is a doctor. And he was a good man, very smart. And I was like, hey, I'll bite you. I'll go on a date with this guy. So we had a date planned. I picked the restaurant out. Like I said earlier, I pick a place where I know the owner or manager and the waiter or waitress. And I got there early. I got the seat and he walks in. The minute he walked in, I thought, yeah, there's not going to be a second date. This is something for socializing and nothing more. And you could tell on the body language. And he sat down. Now I had my Louis Vuitton handbag I bought many years ago. And maybe he was surprised that I could own designer. I mean, I had my own business for a number of years. Of course I can. And who cares, right? He knows I'm an author. And he knows that I like deep conversations. And I'm an introvert. He's also an introvert. And here's the thing. During the entire date, we had a great conversation. During the date, we had beautiful conversations and deep thoughts. And then he found out I'm an intellectual woman. And women out there, I find many men don't like to date intellectual women. It's frustrating, even though he has an IQ of 140 and I have an IQ of 150. Actually, it's higher than that. But I'll say for you all out there, it's 150. He got weird about that because now I'm smarter than he is. Well, I'm not smart in math, but when it comes to creativity and writing, yeah, that's easy for me. I'm a band geek by heart. I mean, I could compose music easily. It's simple for me. That's why I am an author, why I can go in deep thought, why I love deep conversations. And I think it also bothered him that when he ordered a drink, I'm not a big drinker. First of all, here's the thing, like I don't really drink on dates. But tonight, because I knew the date was going to be a bust, I thought, well, I'll get what he's getting. And it was a cocktail drink. And they put something in there of some greenery in the cocktail drink. Not a big fan of that, so I asked for a straw. And he thought that was weird. It was weird, but I don't like certain textures I just can't have. And then we ordered food. I got macaroni and cheese, which I did not know was considered appetizer, but the appetizer was a big meal, a big portion. And he got 2 appetizers, fries and shrimp. And I'm not a big shrimp fan, but he tried to get me to eat shrimp. I don't like fries, so I pretend to eat one. I actually ate one just to humor him. And then he ordered the main meal, and he asked me why I don't want to eat because I wasn't hungry. I was full at this point. I said, no, I'm good. He's like, well, I don't like to eat in front of you like that. It's not, it's not nice. Maybe you should have something. And then he tried to get me to eat his food, which was odd, right? And, oh, by the way, when I had my mac and cheese, he dipped his fork into my mac and cheese. And I was getting weirded out because, look, I just barely met you. I don't know if you got any germs. Like, don't eat for my food. It's weird and rude. But I kept cool about it. I didn't say anything. I smiled and kept on. And like I said, it was a weird, interesting date. Like we got along very well. We talked about second date. And the next day he says, yeah, I really liked you, but there was just no spark. Sorry. But, we could be friends. And then he kept criticizing me when I was talking about something in physics, dark matter, I think what it was, because I love physics. I love talking about these things. This stuff's exciting to me. I grew up in a nerdy family. It's okay to talk about this stuff. He found it odd. He found odd that I got excited with this stuff. Again, I have a high IQ, so this stuff is interesting to me. I told him that dates I prefer more of a nerdy setting, maybe a planetarium or something. I don't like bars, so I'd rather meet somewhere else. But you know what? I'll bite. So he told me what the reason why he didn't want to go a second date with me was because I did not order my own meal. He thought that was odd that I did not want to eat more food. And that was his prerogative. Like I said, we started being friends, and then I asked him the next weekend, hey, you want to hang out? And he's like, I can't answer that. What do you mean you can't answer that? You say you want to be friends? Friends hang out. Well, I don't know if I can. So you want to be a texting friendship? He said, well, yes. I can't do that. And then he said something to me that I made a sarcastic remark about being rejected because, it's funny at this point. Like, oh, he rejected me. Says, Salty, that's not funny. I know you're trying to be funny. That's not funny. And I'm like, well, it is funny because you keep rejecting, even though you say you want to be friends. And I have to cope with it by making humor out of it, which about 90% of people do because human emotion. Oh, I have to point out, he also did not like flirting. He felt like flirting was weird. And yeah, he literally told me that men should not be flirting and women should not flirt either, because flirting often ends in sex. I'm like, no, it doesn't. There's something called playful flirting. I mean, I flirt with my friends. Everybody flirts. It's healthy. It's a human emotion. So yeah, I ended up ghosting him, to be honest, because I didn't like the way he was talking down to me, and that's not okay to talk down to somebody. So, at the end of the day, that was a date that at least I got a free meal out of that. I wish it developed something more, but I'm glad I dodged something. The last healthy relationship I had, believe it or not, was sexting gate. And that's the one that hurt me the most. It's not a healthy relationship, but yeah, it was in a sense, because it wasn't just sexting. We had deep, meaningful conversations, but we grew up together. So I knew him a long time ago. And back in the day, he was someone that I could talk to. However, after much therapy, yes, it's okay to go to therapy. It's good for your mental health. The therapist made me realize that he wasn't a crush for me. He was an emotional bond. And I think we've all have been there. He's someone that I will always care about, but yeah, I mean, it was never going to become more than that. And yes, he did use me, I felt, for self-pleasure, and it wasn't right. And I am very hurt that he did that. And throwing me under the bus was not cool at all. But unfortunately, in the dating world, that happens a lot. And unfortunately, when you throw somebody under the bus, I'm going to point this out. Just remember the consequences, the aftermath, what happens. Because that person, the other half, will start to investigate. And they will begin to research. And then they troll and cyberbully. So just point that out. Just be careful. All right, my lovelies, I'm going to end this podcast by saying, I hope you have a lovely day. Until next time, this is Salty Vixen. Goodbye.
Come and share with me. So let's chat about the highs, let's chat about the lows. In this cozy little corner, anything goes. Every sip tells a story, every word brings a smile. With every conversation, we'll go that extra mile.